Hi, I'm Joshua Hayward, and thanks for joining me on the next video of my recently launched YouTube channel. And today I want to discuss using the law of attraction and how so many of us are engaged in trying to learn how to co-create our own reality more consciously through use of the law of attraction. There's quite a bit that's really important to know about this. There are so many times that we come into butting up against trying to create something and not achieving it and wondering, well, what went wrong and how do I retain a sense of joy when I'm meeting some of my obstacles along the way in using the law of attraction. The law of attraction says that what we're putting out is what we're seeing in our reality. We're putting out desires, we're putting out choices, and sometimes we create choices either consciously or unconsciously, different stages of in between this usually. I think that most of our reality is created instinctually from the unconscious. We put something out, but we've got so much energy going towards not being able to do that, or towards really other directions, and our energy is being sucked into so many other different things that we don't really have the ability to let source energy flow through us towards what we really want. So we're seeing less of what we thought we were creating. Hence, we meet a lot of these blockages. It can be frustrating. It can be disillusioning. We can feel grief and disappointment and things like that. Sometimes even a sense of futility. We're trying to wake up and we're so diligent. We really want to grow spiritually. We want to learn how to co-create. So many of us in this approach to spirituality that is not necessarily what is considered to be traditional. We're trying to think out of the box, and yet we don't know how to do it because we have these limitations. So that's what I wanted to address today. How to stay or try to get back into joy if we can't stay all the time in joy. So what's going to happen is when we put out a desire and it doesn't quite happen, we've run into what I would call a wounding imprint that somewhat negates, from an unconscious level, it somewhat negates some of our conscious choice and our desire, what we're putting out. And it's kind of like a saboteur is another word that could be used. We have these archetypes or these personae within us that see our role that they're playing out as trying to negate anything that we want. We're not good enough. We don't deserve it. So our behavior begins to negate and actually just cut off that creative flow. So these wounding imprints are very much getting in the way sometimes. In the movie The Secret, they didn't really tell you too much about why it's difficult to use the law of attraction successfully at all times. A lot of that's got to do with the fact that we've got a lot of energy due to where we were raised as children, with our families. Also has to do with our peer wounding too. Our groups from childhood, and dealing with other little boys and girls, and also from teachers and other authority figures. We learned a lot of, we learned that we can't always get what we want. And if we try sometimes, we might not even get what we need. Um, when we're children, we from up to age 6 or so, we're just uploading our own computers with information. I don't know if it's really called uploading or downloading or whatever it is. We're in a state of theta in our consciousness. We're not really even, in other words, we're just soaking everything up, almost like we're in a meditative state. It's the theta is the state where we learn how to do remote viewing, or we're hypnotized, or we go into deep suggestive place to where we can view things that are normally hidden from us. As children, we're in that state continually. So imagine all the things that we're bringing in. A lot of the stuff that we're bringing in is limitation. If I cry, am I going to really get fed? Sometimes, we're not. If I cry, am I going to get changed? It just goes on and on and on. Parents, they try really hard. Most people are really good parents. They try to be, but things don't really work out. We receive a whole lot of negative, limiting beliefs. So, okay, how do we have joy when we're using the law of attraction? What happens is that we run into a blockage. So we need to heal or address that blockage. So how do we start to do that? We begin to actually feel what it's like. I'm creating something, I've got the intention to create something. Somehow that's not coming through to me right away. I'm getting blocked on this. What is this about? Well, what we tend to do is push our feelings away. Sometimes we push the reality of it away. So what we do is some sort of resistance-oriented reaction to not getting, what's really happening here. We don't want that to be happening. We have resistance. We don't want to be blocked, in other words. So we acknowledge that we're being blocked. We face reality, and then we move into acceptance for that. And ground off that energy by dropping a grounding cord, letting the feelings go down into Mother Earth, or releasing anger or things like that from the top of the head. That's a good way to do it. What happens is that we get into a state of negativity with our emotional body. So we need to be able to monitor how we're feeling about where we're being blocked. Okay, so what happens is that we get a high level of anxiety, sometimes anger, frustration. What happens is there's a chemical release, and there's this chemical imbalance that we get when we get into these negative states. So our cells and our cell receptors tend to recognize that, and it tends to want to recreate that sense of anxiety because we're used to feeling it, or anger, or whatever that happens in a pattern, on a cyclic basis. We get addicted to those negative feelings. So we meet some resistance about not getting, what we want to create. And, it's real familiar. We get triggered back into anxiety. We get triggered into anger and things like that. So we need to be aware of what we're feeling. And then we can do some things around feelings. And so we can release and neutralize some of that anxiety and anger and stuff like that. So one way to do that is through dynamic mind, creative heart. There are other techniques too. Tapping is a really good way. tapping on your anxiety and removing that stuff. You can tap actually doing dynamic mind, creative heart too. So that's a technique that we combine those techniques to really help people change and shift their energy. So to sum up, the saboteur in us is really being given a good role when it doesn't get what it wants. It's like, oh yeah, we can crash. Okay, you can't have that. Okay, oh, and you're looking at yourself going, wow, what's going on here? But the saboteur has an active role. It knows its role well. It feels those chemicals, and it really responds intensely. And then what happens is you get blocked more and more. So to acknowledge that the saboteur is there, to acknowledge that the feelings are there, to do some tapping, to do some meditating and releasing the energy and neutralizing, then we can unblock those blockages and really state creatively through our own expression and really tell the universe, tell ourselves that we want joy. We can say we want joy and peace and harmony and abundance, but when we get triggered into those negative reactions, what happens is, oh no, well, that's not going to happen. So to really clear out stuff through acceptance and through tapping, through meditating, and then to make a clear choice that we want joy and peace and understanding and growth, and to keep reasserting that. So to not become too disappointed, to understand that you're just meeting some blocks, and to face those things with some energetic tools is really, really helpful. Then you can restate your choice and give the universe unconditional permission to rearrange itself to your choices. And then you can move on. And when that stuff, those blockages come up again, you keep tapping and keep removing that negative response, then you can really turn those things around and you can really begin to see some change in your life. So the law of attraction works a lot better as we remove those sabotaging blocks, which want us almost addictively to feel, I'm a victim, I can't really get what I want. So to really move through those things through some energetic tools. And once again, I would like to say that check out the website, www.dynamicmindcreativeheart.com, and our Facebook webpage, and find out what we have to offer to help you with some of these things that can come up when you're trying to utilize the law of attraction to improve your life and to create some good things for yourself and to make your vibrational frequency rise up and to advance yourself spiritually. So anyway, hopefully that information can help you out, and thanks for joining me, and see you next time on the channel here. Namaste and be well.